before I go live. Come on now. Oh my god, I'm sorry everyone. The interwebs was not working for me and I had to restart everything, shut the computer down, restart the computer. I guess it was just time for a restart. Excellent. Made me late by at least 3 minutes because normally I'm starting at 11:33. 11:36 now, or 11:35 probably when I started. Anyway, my name is IanTheHRPro. I'm an HR consultant, and you are watching Ian the HR Pro live podcast. It's always dangerously unscripted, aka I'm too freaking lazy to create a script for this show. I guess maybe I just don't have time to prepare. Maybe I'm just being lazy. Probably more lazy. I got nothing. Today. I can talk about some resume stuff. Absolutely, I got it. Something coming up. If you need to connect with me some way, somehow, use the QR code in the top corner of the screen that says all my links. That takes you to my link tree, which is down here now at the bottom of the screen, linktr.ee/IanTheHRPro. It's all my links if you need to get a meeting with me for anything. Different things I do, it's all on there. Go have a look, browse it around. What kind of saying is that? Learn to spoke, man. And don't burp during the show. Excuse me, it's my show. I'll burp if I want to. I might do other things too later on. Who knows? Ask your questions in the comments. The show thrives on questions. Otherwise, you get me rambling. Ramble. I might get a puppet for the show and just talk to the puppet the whole show. Do you think that would give me clicks? I don't know. I could use the puppet as the angry manager that everybody hates, right? That's an idea. That's crazy. That's just crazy. Shut up your face. Let's see what's going on. Turn up that music a little bit. So my phone, whatever I just said there, it thought I said the magic word to talk to the AI, and she said she would turn up the media. Okay. So be careful. Your devices are listening, man. Your devices are listening. Today, I didn't mention it at the top of the show. Obviously, today is Thursday. This is Career Club. We are talking about resumes, cover letters, job search stuff. I mean, I'm an HR consultant and I see the other end. I see the resumes coming in and I know what I prefer as the recruiter side of HR. But that doesn't mean I'm perfect. No way, man. That's why I asked to get experts on the show. I'd love if there's any recruiters who listen to my show, come on the show, man. Get a hold of me. Use the link in the top corner and let's chat. Let's see if we can get you in on a Thursday. We can talk about the jobs you're looking for, or the type of candidates, or how you prefer to have resumes presented to you or cover letters presented to you. Come on, give me some of that expertise on the show. What we can do is look at my resume today. Sorry, coughing up the resume. I recently applied for a couple positions. that are really interesting to me. There's a part-time trainer position. So they're basically looking for local contractors to help with their clients. And I got it. I got it. Celebrate, man. Celebrate. I got it. Where's some sort of so is this? There we go. We're celebrating now with some tea. Anyone who's listening who's not watching, I did an overlay that's showing confetti flying about. So yeah, there. I just wonder if we should do any other cool overlays. Oh my god, that zebra pattern, that's crazy. No, forget that. This is interesting. I don't know if it's me, but it's interesting. Weird wavy lines. Cactus. Cactus! Look at the cactus and the flowers are opening and closing. Okay, we don't need none of that. I don't think we need none of that. What's this thing? Oh, it's just sparkly stars. No, we don't need no overlays. Forget it. The only overlay we need is be right back. That's when I gotta go to the washroom. That's an important one. So, just clearing my nose. Sorry. Hot tea. Hot lava tea. And with these positions I'm looking for, I'm always looking for like a not-for-profit position or a really interesting HR position. And I don't put out as many resumes as I used to because I'm being really selective now with this stage in my career, because I want something, if I'm going to reduce the amount of time I spend on my business or I'm moving away from this stuff, I want it to be good. I want it to be a good reason. Now, that being said, I'm like everybody else. I'd like to make some money. So if I get a high-paying HR manager job someplace, I might take it and I might say, screw you guys, I'm out of here. But, yeah. So, Thursday, Career Club. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. I got my resume. And what I was trying to get to when I said I applied for a couple of these positions, and I had an interview, sit down with one of them, and it was a pretty good interview, and they're doing it a different way. The director of HR looking for HR managers, she is having a conversation with people before a formal interview because she's checking for personality and stuff like that. I mean, that's good, plus also not good. I mean, she gave me some great advice. I appreciate it. She's been in the industry just like me for a lot longer than me, so she gave me some good advice. But I don't know if I really appreciate the format too well. Yes, I want people to get to know me, but no, I don't want an opportunity where I'm telling my whole life story to someone. And it did make me feel very vulnerable during that. In hindsight, I'm thinking maybe I should have just kept it a little more professional. But when you have an interview where the person is just trying to feel you out and figure out, are you a good fit socially, culturally for the organization? Do you fit into that organization? It's hard to stay professional. It's hard to stick to your guns. A lot of times I advise my clients, when you're going into a job interview, anything personal is none of their business, right? Only your career, only your work experience, that's what they deserve to learn about. Anytime there's a personal question, I would say relate it to your relationship with the people in previous organizations that you worked with, what you worked for. Don't talk about your family. Don't talk about your best friends and the time you went partying in Vegas or anything like that, right? You want to keep it professional as much as possible. But this interview threw me off a little bit. And I really did enjoy the format. I did. But I was also just nervous for the format. It's not something you normally get. So you just, when they're inviting you for a tea or a chat, not a formal interview, just try to loosen it off. Just try to be a little more aware. Talk about your relationships and things like that, but don't give too much information. Don't give too much personal information. I mean, there's this line. There's a line that you have to decide. Where do I put the line? Some people are going to be wide open. There's no line. That may be good, that may be bad. Some people don't want to share, like, nothing. Anything personal about them. Never. Right? But other people, if you're going into something like this, it is very casual. It is very informal. There's no structure. There's nothing to study for except try to be as nice, as happy, jokey as you can, because they're looking for somebody that they can work with at that personal level. So it's a bit of a skill for the interviewer and for the interviewee, right? It's a bit of a skill if you're going to go into something like that. So it was very interesting, and she did give me some interesting feedback that I wouldn't have taken from anyone else, right? She's an HR professional in the field, right? Lots of experience. So I say, yeah, okay, that might be good advice. So let's take it. Let's integrate it. So I just what I did with that is I went back to my resume, and at that point, so this was earlier in the week, right? Earlier in the week, my resume was about 5 pages long. And this is because I wanted to put as much information into each job that was relevant. I was doing 10 plus bullet points. And if that needs to happen, then that needs to happen. But she also said that follow-up interviews could ask more information. If they're a good recruiter, they're going to ask for more information about this job, that job. And it makes me think, oh, well, maybe I don't need 10 points, 10 plus bullet points in each section. Maybe I can calm it down, bring it down to 5 or 6, shorten the resume. Now, after looking at it for a couple days, my resume is now just into 3 pages. So it's about 2.5 pages, not quite 2.5 pages. And I did 2 things. The first thing I did was kind of integrate as many bullet points as possible into short little lists. So at this job, I did this, as opposed to having each one of those commas as another bullet point. So I tried to bring it together, and I certainly tried to continue concentrating on the keywords, the jargon of the industry that I'm in. I was concentrating on that, trying to make sure I got those. I used those words. Because my fear is, if anyone's using any sort of automated system, they've checked off a list of words, or they've input a list of words that they absolutely need to see and hear in your resume. And if those words are not in there, you don't even get seen. Or if there's a certain amount of the words, like maybe anything less than 60%, if you're not using these keywords, you're not seen. So I'm really worried about that. And so I still caution, use the keywords. And so I was able to shrink everything down a little bit, and I'm still listing all the programs I used in those situations, right? So I managed to shave off 2.5 pages. The other thing I did was add some stuff back, because she was interested. Like right now, my HR career officially starts around 2016. Right? This is the new me. This is the new Ian. This is HR career. So I had nothing behind 2016, and I also follow the rule is if anything's older than about 10 years, you don't bother showing it. Throw it up on your LinkedIn. Make sure you always keep a record of it there, but not on your physical resume that you're sending out. But she was interested in where I came from before I became an HR professional. So I added my previous role, which I had for 5 years. And I was a case management assistant at the Correctional Service of Canada. And the case management assistant was admin work. I was an office clerk and an office administrator, right? Like this is what I did. I worked reception. I worked the file room. I worked doing invoices for a department. I actually worked in the compensation unit for a short time, and I also helped with the special program that correction uses, the database program. I worked in that department for a short time. So I was kind of all over there during my 5 years with the Correctional Service of Canada. No, I wasn't a guard or anything like that. But she wanted to see where I was before. And I think now with that extra 5 years of history on there, it kind of shows that, yes, I can work in an office. Yes, I have all these office skills, right? So I think that's good, because I've seen people who've been a trucker for 30 years apply for a financial job, right? Just out of the blue. And I'm like, what? Like, where's the progression? There was no, I've been taking training, or I've been learning, or I've been doing part-time work in the finance industry or anything like that. There was nothing like that. It was just, last month, I stopped being a long-haul trucker for the last 30 years. Now I want to work in the finance industry, right? And it's just like, So there is some history I was able to put in. And like that trucker looking to get into the finance industry, he should have had some sort of history. When you think about the trucker and his experience, well, if he was an owner-operator, there might have been some office work that he had to do, right? So could he have highlighted that in his 30 years of trucking? Absolutely. I did bookwork. I did my own accounting and stuff like that. Like, he could have put that in. And I think what he should have done is something like, I sometimes disparage organizations like World Financial Group or what's the other one? Primerica, right? They basically do the same thing. They try to help you with your finances, and they either refer you to some debt reduction company during this process, but they also show you how you can invest your money. So basically, they're trying to sell you investments, but they're also saying a big part of this is making sure you have the proper life insurance. So they're selling you life insurance, and these sorts of things, right? This is what they do. And I kind of disparage that because they tend to be just really, they have their blinders on. I got to get them to this product so I can sell the product and make the money, right? So it's very hard. I was in WFG for a while, me and my wife, and I was starting to take the mutual fund course and things like that. But I just wasn't interested in that industry. So I don't know. I kind of come from a sour grapes situation, so I kind of disparage them now and again. But this trucker, imagine if for the last 5 years he had become a WFG agent or a Primerica agent or something like that, and he was doing this on the side for the last 5 years. And his goal was to move away from trucking. So now he applies for an actual financial position someplace. He's possibly taken some courses over the last few years, this transition, right? And there's some history. So that's what he could have been doing to put that in on his resume. My wife's sneaking around in a dark hallway. She's sick, so we won't talk to her. Anyway, so you gotta have some sort of transition. So, before 2016, I could have came from anywhere. I could have been just some construction laborer or something. Well, obviously, look at me. I'm not a construction laborer, but that's where I could have came from. So I could have had no HR history or anything like that. So I added this 5-year position where it showed me as an office person. I worked in an office. I did everything in an office, right? So I got all that experience. And what I also added was more of my volunteer experience. Currently, I was only putting the current volunteer organization I'm a part of. I'm a board member of my local community league here in downtown Edmonton. So I've been on the board for a while. My wife's on the board with me. So we care about our little community, and we care about having programs and things like that set up. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. So I decided to put in all my volunteer experience. The problem is it dates me a little bit because it makes me seem younger when I say, oh, I graduated 2016 from the University of Lethbridge. 2016 he graduates. That puts him somewhere in his mid-20s, maybe late 20s, right? Yeah, make me look young, man. Makes me look about 20 years younger than I really am. And I kind of like that. But when I put in my volunteer organizations, when I left high school, within 2 years of leaving high school, I became the chairman of my town's local library board. And I was the chairman of the library board for 5 years. So I had 5 years volunteer experience running a board running a library, because we ran that library ourselves. We all took shifts and we were running it. And we were all volunteering to do this. We did that for after we learned all about libraries, and we renovated a building. It was kind of over a 2-year period because we got 1 year's grant money, and then in the next year we got the 2nd year grant money from the province, operating grant. And we were able to do a lot of stuff cheaply because as soon as we opened up, we started running it ourselves, so we weren't paying for an employee. And we also got a bunch of donated books and stuff like that, so we didn't spend a lot. The most expensive thing was the bookshelves. Well, they were strong, sturdy, wooden bookshelves, just beautiful once we got them and they were put up. They were expensive, really expensive. It felt like anything that was like library related, it was expensive. But I got all this experience from 25 years ago, right? This nonprofit leadership experience. And it wasn't on my resume. So I added all that old volunteer experience, and I'm also part of 2 political organizations where I'm volunteering. So the local CA group, which I volunteer on, and then the bigger party in Alberta. It's a provincial political party. So I'm part of that. And it's all leadership experience. It's all volunteer experience. It's all relevant experience. And a lot of it wasn't on there because I deemed it to be too old, or I deemed it to be too political. As soon as you realize that, I'm the president of the Green Party of Alberta, you get thoughts, you get ideas about me, like am I just some dirty hippie or something like that, right? We get these impressions. So this was something that I was scared to put on my resume. And at this point, I'm just like, who cares? I'm putting it on there, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my resume to what it currently looks like. And I'm just going to go through it a little bit. Share window. I'm going to share this window. How do we look? Oh, that's not bad. What if I did this? That's not bad. And that allows me to be big over here. Anyway, that's my resume. Obviously, I blacked out my phone number. Don't call me, you dirty heathens. Don't call me a dirty heathen. So here we go. This is my resume, right? I don't know if you see the weird highlight stuff that's going on. I use that spelling tool, Grammarly. I use Grammarly extensively because I write a lot. So sometimes the Grammarly stuff highlights on the screen and pops up and things like that, but I don't think you can see that Grammarly stuff. So this is pretty simple. My name, what city I live in, what province I live in, my phone number, and my email address. I'm keeping it pretty simple. If someone wants to search more for me, they can put like my name into LinkedIn or something like that, and they'll see more information about me. So I don't even put my LinkedIn link here anymore. I'm trying to keep it simple, looking good. My summary is pretty simple. I'm a human resources professional with extensive nonprofit leadership experience and a strong understanding of Alberta employment and safety legislation. Now, I think I might take the safety out. because when I worked for a construction company, I felt the need that I needed to get my safety tickets, my National Health and Safety Administrator certificate. And that was because it was such a big part of the HR department, right? But when you're in a construction company, you have a safety manager. In my opinion, safety is a department within HR. So I had this need to learn as much safety as I could. So when I was doing onboarding, I could properly talk about safety and our safety program within the organization. So I think I'm taking that out because I took that safety education. I got to 7 of 13 of the courses to get me that safety certificate. And I've since decided that's not the industry for me. I really don't want to be in the construction industry again. So I took the safety stuff out. So that's one thing I missed up here. So I took the safety legislation out. Skilled and full cycle HR, including recruitment, workforce planning, employee relations, disciplinary investigations, performance management, and policy development. These are the things I do. These are the things I love. So I put that down, and that's it. Right? I don't put down things like I'm a hard worker. How do I prove I'm a hard worker? By saying I'm a hard worker. Everybody says they're a hard worker, and I think 90% of the time it's complete BS. I'm a hard worker when I love to do something, right? So that's where you'll find me as a hard worker. Who's chatting over here? Already, we are only 32 minutes into the show, and the spammer on Twitch, thank you, Spambot. Best viewers, streamboo.com. Don't forget to remove that space. Thank you, Spambot, for spamming my channel on Twitch. Of course, if you're wherever you're watching this, I'm also live on LinkedIn, YouTube, my Facebook business page, of course, Twitch, and Twitter X. I thought it was something interesting, but it's just the spammer from Twitch. Thank you very much, Spambot, for raising the awareness on my Twitch channel, which I almost totally ignore because I'm just streaming on it. I'm sorry. There could be a whole bunch of crazy comments and stuff on my Twitch. I don't know. Twitch is weird. It doesn't allow me to keep my videos there, like YouTube or even LinkedIn or my Facebook page or even the Twitter X. Everything stays there. If you go to my profile, you can see all the stuff that I've posted, right? Whereas Twitch, it only keeps things for like 30 days or something. So there'll only ever be about 30 days worth of content up on Twitch. Strange. Whatever. That's fine. It's all about streaming. It's not about YouTube where it's content. Next week, you should edit my resume. I send to you after I update it. Oh, deadly. All right. If you want, I will update my sister Joy's resume next week. So get it updated. Send it. If you got any tips from the show today, go ahead and add them, subtract them. I know my big sister. She's just a big liar, so she's going to be lying about everything on her resume. I know it, but that's just sibling issues. That's not really an issue. I joke. She knows I'm joking. You better know I'm joking. You better know I'm joking, or I'm telling Mom. Yeah, that's your younger brother acting like a younger brother. So anyway, let's see, where are we at? Lost track because of the spammer on Twitch. So yeah, don't put stuff that you really can't prove. I'm a hard worker. I always arrive on time. I these sorts of things. All I'm saying is I'm a human resource professional. I got lots of nonprofit leadership experience, and I'm skilled in these things. These are the things I like. These are the things I do. So that's what I want them to see. We're also trying to use the industry Joy just said Brandy's killing herself laughing at me now. Obviously she's with Brandy and they're listening to the show together. Why are you torturing Brandy like that to listen to my show? Crazy. Anyway, so you're trying to fit in that industry jargon if you can, because sometimes it doesn't quite fit into your experience section, right? So we go to the experience section now, and I've reduced each job to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I've added a lot of like recruitment, performance evaluation, disciplinary to firing, right? It's kind of like what I do as a consultant for my clients right now. I do a lot of updating, creating policies and employment contracts. So I was able to take that employment contracts bullet and add it to this one because it basically said the same thing. Chan the cat, what are you doing? Come out here. No, you're not going to sit there. No, you're not sitting there beside my computer. No. Chan the cat. What? You're just trying to push my computer around? Look at the camera. Look at the camera and apologize to all the viewers. Huh? Meow. You go. Go sit on the chair. It's comfy. Gee. Anyway, she tries to sit in on a stack of I got some paperwork behind my computer for different things, and then she tries to snuggle in there beside the computer. I think she's trying to get some heat from the computer itself. My computer's raised up on this cool stand. Anyway, that's my toxic coworker. The other two cats don't bother me. They don't come up here, except Jack. At lunchtime when she's hungry, she'll show up and just meow at me. She doesn't use her words, she just meows at me. Anyway, so I was able to combine a few points and put things together. And there was stuff that I was able to also get rid of. But I'm trying to use the industry, the HR jargon, right? And of course, I was able to combine all my programs that I use and just listed them, right? I feel kind of queasy. I'm feeling queasy. I don't know why. Oh, someone's at the front door. There's a person at the front door. Male person? I don't know. I don't know. There's nobody at the front door now. Oh. The neighbors were in their front yard, which triggered my camera out in front of the house. So there, yeah. The beauty of Ring cameras, but now there's a rumor going around that Ring is having deals with law enforcement, and now they're going to be able to access our cameras from our own houses and things like that. I mean, that's... Why? Work on the big crimes and then the government should just work to make our lives better. 'Cause I'm not going to commit a crime unless I can provide for my family, right? If I have no other choice, I'm going to do crime. I'm not encouraging crime in any way, shape, or form. I want you to get a job. I want you to start a side gig, a side hustle, right? But we do have a society where we're living in end-stage capitalism that's leaning into fascism. These right-leaning parties and, dudes like Trump. It's not good. It's not good for the people. It's good for rich people. Anyway, so I've managed to turn all my experience into these 5 points. Yes. And this is what I do as an HR consultant for my own business. Right? I treat it just like a job, like anything else. And I have decided not to put owner, CEO, president, or whatever. I don't want them to immediately think, oh, this guy's a small business owner and he's going to go off and do his own thing once his business pops off, so we don't want to hire them, right? So I'm a human resources consultant. And of course, Big Stone Oilfield Services and Supplies, aka Boss Construction Company. I was the HR manager, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 posts again. Real simple. Like, this is where the health safety program stuff came in, and I was trying to be, do the HR stuff or do the safety stuff. But I don't want to be there anymore, right? I was the regional director for Alberta North for Kairos Canada. This is where I learned all about the Kairos blanket exercise, and I learned how to run it or facilitate it, and I also help train new facilitators, right? So I put that in there. It's a completely different job than HR, but I consider Indigenous equity, diversity, and inclusion to be a part of HR, EDI work, DEI work, however you want to pronounce it. It's part of HR. It's a department in HR. So it's important. So it is relevant to my HR career. Of course, I was the operations manager at 4 Pillars Consulting Group. My good friend Pradeep gave me a position within his company, and I'm forever grateful for that. It was a lot of learning. It was basically my first real HR position, so I'm always going to be grateful for what he did for me for that. But after a few years, we parted ways, and I moved on to other things. Case management assistant. Now, here's that job I put in from Correctional Service of Canada that I hadn't. It was 5 years of my life, and I didn't put it in because it wasn't HR related. I didn't want it to be there. But it does show that I come from an office background. I did 5 years, general administrative tasks, including filing, reception, mail processing, right? That was the bulk of it. But it also shows I had a security level. I had the lowest governmental security level. That's the reliability security clearance level, right? I had to go through a bit of a security check with that in order to get that position. There's multiple other levels of security above that within the federal government. So, but one of the reasons why there was 2 reasons why I left the federal government. One, I found it hard to adapt to this work environment. It was kind of paramilitary in a little bit, so it was a stressful place for me to work. And I think it may be the first place I really kind of experienced some racism on the job. So as soon as Pradeep gave me an opportunity to work for him at Four Pillars, I jumped on it. Like I was at it. Or was that? No, I ended up quitting. For 2015, I was actually working at a friend's, gas bar. So I worked there for a year. And I don't know, my sister's creep. So my sister just took a picture of herself in her vehicle driving in front of our house. Creeper McCreeperson, and she sent it to me. So block and report. All right, there we go. She'll get what's coming to her. Anyway, so I was working at a gas bar. I am no stranger to working kind of retail roles. So I spent a year working at a gas bar. I've spent multiple years working at video stores. I mean, that's not a thing anymore. But I rented videos and DVDs to people for a lot of years. And I don't think I could handle those jobs anymore, because that's like standing at the till, at the register, serving customers. But I always found that doing those jobs, when I first started working, people were cold to me, maybe downright mean to me. They didn't appreciate that I was doing everything by the book correctly. People don't like that. But by the time I leave those organizations, the people that were acted that way to me just totally loved me. It was very bizarre, like at the video store, I had this couple that would come in at least weekly, and they would rent videos for them and their family for the weekend, and they were cold to me. But when they realized I was giving them good customer service, by the time I left, they would walk into the store and wave at me, call me by my name, get their stuff, chat with me. And they were sharing like personal stuff with me, right? Like the wife, she went out with a girls' weekend and just had a blast. Literally, this was before it was legalized, right? And she was telling me this story. Like, why do you tell this to some store clerk? I mean, because for the last year, they saw me. They saw me every time they came into the store. So they felt they knew me, and they knew I was giving them good service. And I mean, usually when I leave some sort of service job like that, the regulars, they love me. So that's something. That's important. I guess that's a story I need to tell more when I'm in an interview. But when I was at corrections, I was losing that happiness. I was losing that. So it was not someplace I wanted to be anymore. So I had to get out of that. And I was totally happy to work at the gas bar for a while. And I'm totally happy when I got the opportunity to work at Four Pillars. I'm totally grateful for those opportunities. But they're not my retail work, fast food, movie store, it's not really relevant to my career right now, right? It's not something I need to put down. I believe they're listed on my LinkedIn. I'm not sure about the gas bar. I gotta make sure that's in there. Anyway, I was at a point where I didn't want to list certain jobs because it was aging me. And ageism is a thing. But I think you can get so much value from having an older person in your office or in your organization. There's just so much knowledge there that's being wasted and lost. I think if someone who is older, 50s, 60s, heck, even 70s, if they're interested in working for you, I would bring them in. At least give them that 90-day shot to see if they fit in with the organization, right? Because there could be a lot of knowledge there for the next 5 or 10 years that could be very helpful to your small business, to your organization. Why am I talking about HR stuff when I'm supposed to be talking about my resume? I think what I'm saying is, even if you're an older job hunter, job seeker, I think, you gotta find a way to get past that 25-year-old recruiter, right? So it's hard to, avoid things, try to tricks. Don't put down your graduation from high school. If you have any sort of advanced degree, don't even put high school in. Forget that. If you got into a degree program, then the degree program made sure you had the proper pre-education to get you into that program. So you don't need to list your high school when you graduated high school. Definitely not. Pick that out there. And coughing, man, I'm just dying here. You may not even want to put your date you graduated from your university. If it's like you graduated university in 1975 and you got your master's in 1981 and your doctorate in 1989, I wouldn't put the dates. I would fudge those numbers. I would just say, no dates. I have these degrees. That's all that matters. It does not matter that it's been 30 plus years since I got that education. I don't, none of your goddamn business, right? So if they ask in an interview, tell them, right? But the idea is that you don't want to give someone the opportunity to disqualify you in the process before you even get to an interview. The idea of your resume is to get you to an interview. You give them enough information that they fulfill what they're looking for the basics. You hit that 100% or 90+% of what they're looking for so that you can get into an interview. And that's where you can shine. So I really think it's so important to get them interview skills up. I'm terrible. Just like my podcast, I like to not prepare. I just want to go in and get it done. I hate preparing, but I think a lot of us really do need to prepare. And I have been doing it more often now. And occasionally an organization will say, here's the interview questions we're going to ask you during the interview. And they may say, but there may be follow-up questions for clarification. All right. That's awesome. I think every organization should do that. Why do we go into a job interview interview not prepared? Why do they purposely want us to not be prepared, man? Like, every employee is trying to get prepared so they can do their best job. And that's true. If you're on the job, you're like, oh, I need to get this project done. What do you need from this project? You ask your supervisor, or you ask the client, what do you need me to do? And then you do the project. So why aren't we using interviews like that? It should be normal when you get an interview to ask for the interview questions. And in my opinion, if they don't give you a copy of the interview questions, that's a red flag. But this is a relatively new thing to ask for the interview questions. So take from it what you will. I try to ask for the interview questions every time now, because I don't want to be unprepared. I don't want to be caught off guard. Imagine if in your current job or previous job, you were told to do a task, a project, something, and they said, just get it done. And you're like, what do you want done? And they're like, just do it. Okay? So then you come back with this project the way you thought it should be done, but it's completely wrong. And they're like, this isn't what I asked for. You're in a situation where they didn't ask you for anything. They didn't give you enough information to get it done properly. If your supervisor, your manager is upset because you asked too many clarifying questions, that's a red flag. Time to go. Or try to change the environment to say, I'm always going to ask these questions because I want to give you a proper quality response, project, task, KPI, right? If the manager isn't giving you what you need, they could be a bad manager. And we know that's a thing. They don't know what they need because maybe they don't know themselves how to do it, right? And that's fine. But you need to sit down with them and say, what do you think you need? What process do you think we should be using? Can I get in touch with your boss or get in touch directly with the client that's requesting this, right? You got to really push, man. And if you're not allowed to do your job properly, that's a red flag. So I think that also includes the interview process. You can't give a good interview unless you know what questions they're going to ask. And that's a red flag, right? Are we still sharing? Yeah, we're still sharing. So my education, right? I took off the safety stuff, which I told you about. It's gone. I'm working towards my CPHR candidate designation. And this is just when I did my national knowledge exam. And that is, I got 10 years from this exam to get my full designation. It's hard for me to get my full designation because I'm not working for an individual organization where I can easily list my HR duties and tasks and what I'm doing. I've got a multitude of clients. I've got clients said that they would help me and support me in this process. And it just makes it a little more difficult for me. And I look at the paperwork and it's like, this doesn't make sense because of my situation. Anyway, so I'm working on that. I'm hoping for spring of 2026, I will either get into the process or I'll get it. And then I'll be fully CPHR. And that's certified professional in human resources. So I'm almost there. And of course, I listed my Bachelor of Management in 2016. Like I say, once I graduated in 2016, I was like, I'm an HR professional now. This is my change. This is my career change point, right? And 2016 makes me look way younger. So that's nice. I'm leaving my dates in here. But if this was 1985, or even a more reasonable date for my age, would have been like 2003, 2004 or something. That probably would have been a more reasonable date for me if when I left high school I went right into university. There are parts of me that regret not going right into university from high school. From high school, I wanted to get my computer science degree. I was into computers. I am a certified A+ computer technician. I can rip your computer apart. I can put it back together, and I can install all the software, and I can set you up on a small network. I'm certified to do that. And I got that while I was working in that industry, in that area. Instead of going to university, I had a job at the local school, and I was helping them with their tech stuff, and they were kind of training me towards that. And I have regrets for that. Because if I had any sort of degree, I think my job prospects back when I was in my 20s would have been better. So honestly, I do feel like career-wise, my career is 20, 25 years behind. Right? This is me in my head. Why is that terrible sound so terrible? That's like the worst music going on. Let's move to atmosphere. Let's see if that's better. I don't know. But yeah, there's regrets career-wise. Life-wise, I'm happy because life-wise, all the mistakes I made in my life led me to my wife. And I cannot feel guilty about all those life choices anymore. I'm sorry about people I hurt along the way. We all do that. But I am extremely happy with my wife now for the last, 25 right now. So we've been together now something like 17 years. And I've been so happy. Right? So I'm not guilty about my life choices. Or I'm not guilty. I don't feel sorry about it. But I do feel guilty career-wise that I didn't get that degree right away. Because I see people who get an unrelated degree and they have had a very successful HR career. Right? So that degree is kind of like career lock-in position. Like it's even if you just got a Bachelor of Arts, people with Bachelor of Arts degree have gone on, I see it, they've gone on to do some amazing work, had amazing jobs, have had amazing career, But they were able to get that degree early on and find themselves career-wise through their 20s and early 30s, and having that degree allowed them to open those doors or walk through those doors that were presented to them career-wise. So find yourself as early as possible, but there's certain things that you kind of need to lock into place. The next time I wanted to go back to university, I wanted to get my political science degree. And I did start taking some university courses. I believe somewhere around 2005. About the time my dad was ill and passed away, I wanted to go back for that political science degree. And then I only took a few courses and it fizzled out. Life happened. And I didn't go back until I think 2009 or 2010, because we see my human resources management certificate I got from Grant McEwen. That was 2011. And I decided to roll some of those credits into the University of Lethbridge at the Edmonton campus so I could take evening courses while I was working full-time. And I feel like I kind of went backwards with that. Because a lot of times when you get a certificate, they're considered after degree type certificates so that you can specialize in stuff. So I wish back in the early 2000s I had got just a Bachelor of Arts. I wish I had done that. And then when I decided midlife to change to HR, I could have already just immediately moved into an HR assistant role or something like that back in 2009, 2010. Like, I could have been like, that's where I want to be. And I could have moved into an HR assistant position and got my human resources certificate part-time. And my HR career could have moved faster. At that point, 2011, I could have started applying for HR advisor roles or HR generalist roles. I would have already had a year or two in the industry as an HR assistant. That would have been my admin experience, and it would have just rolled into an HR advisor role. And I do have regrets with that, and it does feel backwards. If I had gotten my Bachelor of Arts degree back in 2000, early 2000s, then I could have got whatever certificate afterwards to try to say, oh, that's the career I want, right? And right now, because I did it backwards and I don't have as much HR experience, like at this point I should have 20 plus years of HR experience basically, but I don't. I've got 10 years of HR experience, right? And so anyway, regrets. And I keep thinking to myself, do I want a master's degree? Do I want that master's degree? And it keeps toying with me, and I kind of do, but I kind of don't know if I can handle the education again. I've been out of school long enough now to start thinking, oh, I want to go back to school. But while I was there, it was hard. It was hard. High school was hard for me. There was a lot of late nights where I was doing homework and studying. There was a lot of it. And in hindsight, I feel like I didn't, in the moment, I felt like I wasn't doing enough. But in hindsight, I did a lot. I was a really dedicated student, but it was really hard for me. When I was doing my HR certificate, they were specialized courses in HR, and I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them a lot. There was very few base courses I had to take with my HR certificate. So I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm going to move into the Bachelor of Management. And then there was all kinds of base courses that I had to take. The psychology course. I'd already taken sociology back in 2005, so I didn't need to do sociology. But I enjoyed sociology, so I probably could have taken another sociology course. Anyway, just the basic courses, I needed to do them. Oh my God, the math courses. I had 2 accounting courses. I had stats course, which took me 3 tries. The first time I did it, it failed miserably. Oh my God. Second time I did it, I think I only got halfway through and I dropped it because I had like 2 or 3 other courses. I was trying to just power through, get that degree, but I couldn't handle it. So I took out the most taxing one. Then I finally took it again. And I had an instructor that seemed to click with me. So a lot of times your instructor or your professor you have really makes a difference with the course. And I think this third try around, I also had more energy. Do the activities, do the homework, ask for extra work. Statistics was just know your formulas. And the more you use those formulas, the better you got at it. Like truth. And it made me think about the chemistry class I tried to take in high school. Or there was the chemistry section of Science 10, which I absolutely hated. So I never went into chemistry. I never took chemistry at the 20 or 30 levels in high school. So when I'm trying to do the stats class, it's these formulas. I got to memorize the formulas and I got to use them. And I got to know which formula to use in what situation, right? So it was really hard for me because it was trying to do this. I mean, you put me in social studies in high school and we were talking about history and stuff like that. I just remembered everything. It was easy. Biology was straight memorization. You just had to remember what was going on. That was easy for me. It's when I had to take something and manipulate numbers or whatever, that was harder for me because I wasn't disciplined enough as a student to do the work, to work those formulas, to get used to them, right? So it was hard for me. That sort of stuff was hard on me. But having the education here, I don't know if it's good enough or worse. I definitely want my CPHR, but it just feels like the CPHR is just it's the tiebreaker for me. If there's 2 people applying for an HR manager role or HR advisor role, in my opinion, the tiebreaker is the person that has that CPHR designation. If I'm just a CPHR candidate, they're going to go with the person who has that designation. So right now, that professional designation feels like the tiebreaker. We've been an hour and 15 minutes. So I was just checking. I don't know. It could have been 3 o'clock and I could still be rambling on. Anyway, so make sure the education is there. You can put points onto your education if you want. And there may be certain degrees that seem a little bit unknown. The employer might not understand what your degree is. I mean, that's why we put a major in, right? I've got a Bachelor of Management, but my major is Human Resources and Labor Relations. That's my education. So do I need to list anything there? Maybe not really. But if I took a lot of courses in certain areas, if I was going for that Bachelor of Arts, but I took a lot of courses in one area, I might list those as like a minor or something, right? Or just list I have a lot of experience in this sort of area or whatever, right? There may be a reason for you to list it. There may also be, if you're early in your career, so you can see up above, I talk about the software we use. I talk about the software I use. I talk about there's specialized proprietary CRM I used. There's programs I used, right? There's programs I used as an HR consultant, right? I'm listing those in the positions to show that I use those programs. But maybe I'm brand new. I just graduated. I don't have a job yet. I haven't used any of these programs in the wild, at a position. So I would put down a point or two under my degree saying I use this program to write my papers, or we were taught how to use this paper to do XYZ, or how to use this program to do XYZ. My tea is so cold. Nose is running. I'm coughing. I'm choking on boogers. Anyway, you may want to list what programs you used while you were doing your degree. That's a great place to put it. It's a great example. There might be other things. If you are you're going for some sort of other education, you're journeyman's for XYZ, and you got your different years of your education listed on your resume, but you may also want to list the type of tools or equipment type things that you worked with during your education, because first year mechanic, I don't know if you've used a MIG welder or I don't even know the equipment. I don't know what could possibly in a normal situation, maybe you don't use a certain type of equipment, but in your class, in your training, you did review it. You did go over it. It was some specialty thing. Maybe you got an opportunity to use it or whatever, right? It's not a normal thing that you would be getting in that role or you would be using in that role. It's a new technology, something new, up and coming. List it, right? It's okay to have a few bullet points on your education. And then there's, on page 3 of my resume, is my volunteer experience. Okay. Look at that. I didn't change the font on this one. I know my wife does that, so I changed the font. See if it's more noticeable. It's bold. It should be bolded. Why didn't it bold it? Is this bolded? Yeah, that's bolded. All right. Anyway, so my volunteer experience. My volunteer experience starts in 2003. And right off the bat, I was the chairperson of the library board in my hometown. And the town I was in, basically a hamlet, so we had no mayor and council of the town. We had the reeve and council of the local municipal district. So the MD was in charge of appointing library board members, right? So I was there for 5 years, and I helped out. Because I was on the library board, I was also appointed as a board member of the Peace Library System, because our libraries were members of the Peace Library System, and the Peace Library System gave us access to the database for sharing our books with other libraries, and we could bring books in from other libraries. The TAL, the Alberta Library System, right? Like, so if we didn't have a book in our small town library, we could order it for our patrons and get it from Southern Alberta if they were also members of that. Or it was easy also within the Peace Library System. Basically, Central and Northwestern Alberta, all the libraries in that district could become members of the Peace Library System. And because I was on the library board, I could be appointed to be a board member of the Peace Library System. So I was able to experience this larger board. I think there was 35 member libraries, and it was always a big board meeting, and we gave direction to the executive director of the Peace Library System, and it was just an amazing experience seeing an organization working kind of at this higher level. And that was enjoyable times. I really enjoyed my time on the library board and the Peace Library Board System. And I also spent a year as the president of the Children's Place Play School Association. This is kind of where I started to discover that I'm kind of good at the back end and organizing stuff. And I helped them move forward, organize themselves, and get going and things like that, because they were kind of struggling. And I enjoyed my time there too, but it really gave me this sense of I'm kind of a fixer. I kind of go in and I can fix things, fix organizations. So that was kind of my first experience. And as an HR person, that's like what I do all the time, man. So yeah, I felt like a fixer when I was the president there for that 1 year. And when I moved to Edmonton, when we bought our house here in Queen Mary Park in downtown Edmonton, I jumped on the library board right away. And I think we were here a year or two or something. I think it was 2000. I don't even remember when we bought our house. We got married 2010. I think we bought our house in like 2011 or something. So we'd only been here a year or so, and I jumped on the Community League board. And Community Leagues here in Edmonton, this is kind of unique. They kind of started here in Edmonton. So each community within Edmonton has a Community League board that's kind of in charge of programming and running the local hall and, simple things like that, watching out for things going on in the neighborhood. So that's if you wanted to volunteer, I mean, in Edmonton, it's easy. The community league, they're always, your local community league, they're always looking for volunteers. You just be a director at large. You could just help out with programs, whatever. You could volunteer to run a program. I don't have that listed on my resume. I think I should have it listed. I don't have it on here. Anyway, so I was on the board for a couple of years and then got busy doing other things. And then, politically speaking, I had no one to vote for in the Alberta provincial election here in our riding because there was no Green Party member. And since I was about 16, I knew I was green, and I knew protecting our planet was one of the most important things. So I've always voted green. I've only had to vote NDP and Liberal once each. And when I was younger, in the 2000s, I ran in 2 provincial elections, 2 federal elections for the Green parties. And also ran for my chief and council, and I also ran for the local municipal government. And I was in my 20s, right? And you're young, you're ideal, you're idealistic, and you think you know everything. Now it's like, oh, I don't want to be the candidate, but I need a candidate to vote for. So this is part of my fixer persona of organizing in the back end. And, that's why I've been a chief financial officer for the Edmonton City Centre CA for the Green Party of Alberta. This is local. This is just in our constituency, our local riding for provincial elections, right? And we're just a small group. We basically just try to raise money and make sure we have a candidate. That's what we do. And it's all because I just need someone to vote for. I need a green candidate to vote for in the provincial elections, right? So I started that, and then I also got back onto the community league board. So I have it listed here also. And at the same time, I went back to the board. A year later, my wife joined me on the board. So we're both on the community league board now. And this time around, I am running the career club. I called it career club at the hall. So every once a month on a Thursday, you can meet with me directly at our community league hall. If you're not there by 7:30, I leave, but it's from 7. I'll go 7 to 9, 2 hours. If there's people there and they want to talk about their resumes and cover letters and things like that, we can talk about all that stuff in person, give you direct career advice. And I've been running that for about a year now. So I need more people to come out to the career club. Just feels like it's never advertised properly. I gotta remember to advertise it. But so I'm still doing the CA. That's a present thing. And I'm still on the community league board. And starting from May, I am now the president of the Green Party of Alberta. And we're going through big restructuring stuff at the back end. Previous leadership left us after the last provincial election, and nobody's really taken the reins since then. So, there's a lot of fixing to get done there. So I enjoy that. But that's something new, and it's political in nature. So it's sometimes dangerous to put your political stuff onto your resume. Some people are very proud of it. There is a real preconception about your political leanings and putting them on. What I'm doing, you maybe don't want to put your political volunteering on here, because I'm really biased. If I see someone who's supporting a right-wing political party in some way, then I don't think I can relate to that person, and I don't think I could work with them properly because of their ideological leanings. There'd be too many arguments and things like that. So I probably wouldn't hire you, right? But if they were saying they were maybe supporting the NDP, or they were a fellow Green Party supporter, I might say, yeah, I can relate to that person, so I'm going to hire that person. If it was Liberal's a very centrist party here in Canada. They're kind of center and leaning to the right. So, I mean, if you're a big Liberal supporter, I might question that. I might be like, maybe not, right? So we do, political leanings are, what's the word? Like throwing acid. It's a bomb sometimes, right? If you're applying for a right-wing organization, if you're applying for like, I don't know, chemical company or construction company or a finance company or something, right? The people within those organizations are going to be right-leaning because they believe in some of this right-leaning stuff. They're financial. There's two groups when you think of the right-leaning group. There's the social conservatives, and there's the fiscal conservatives. So there's a lot of fiscal conservatives within certain organizations. The problem is when your only right-leaning party has combined those two groups, so that those two groups really aren't being properly represented, then are you a fiscal conservative? Are you a social conservative? Social conservatives should have a strong party, and we saw that with the 44-year miracle when the NDP won, because the right side of the political spectrum was split up between the fiscal conservatives and the social conservatives. Obviously, the progressive conservatives being the fiscal conservatives, and the social conservatives being the Wild Rose Party. And I think those two parties were better representing their members, and they need to be in our political landscape. But because there's this need for power and to be in control of the government, everybody decided to combine those two parties, right, into the UCP. And I think that's a shame, because people aren't being represented properly. If I do consider myself fiscally responsible when it comes to politics, and the Green Party fits that bill very well. A lot of green entrepreneurs fall into that. They're very fiscal people. They believe in balanced budgets and things like that, right? But we also believe that you can pray how you want to pray, right? And we leave it open for everybody. But when you think about the social conservatives, obviously this is us, this is our group, this is our religious group, and we believe in these values and things like that, right? So they're not being properly represented in a united party. They're not. You've got something that's supposed to be fiscally responsible, but at the back end, it's actually being manipulated from a social standpoint for those social reasons. So it's a hard party to be in, and it should be two parties anyway. And the Liberals, we know they can swing both ways, but in Alberta, the NDP party is basically a center party, like the Liberals in other provinces or federally. So we don't have a strong left-leaning party. The next one is the Green Party. But I know it's weird. It's weird when your left-leaning party, who's supposed to be environmental in nature, decides to support a pipeline. Anyway, I digress. But we can see there's different versions of parties from province to province from the government, and they all give some sort of preconception about you, who you are. And if you are willing to accept that preconception, put it on your resume. If you're nervous about your political leanings affecting your career, take it off. And there's a possibility you might end up in an organization that doesn't align with your political leanings. And I hate when people don't make this shit political. Well, it's all political. The politics are a reflection of me and my beliefs in society, in a God, if you believe in that. Right? This is who we are. And it's reflected into a large group of like-minded people. So if you don't agree with the people, why are you part of that party? Or the other thing is, I'm advising you don't put it down, because I know I have biases. I know I have biases against someone who puts down that they're an organizer with the United Conservative Party. Immediately, that's just red flags for me. And you don't want that. If you're a conservative person, but you want to work for me, you probably shouldn't put your political leanings in there. But you may be proud of your political leanings, so you're going to put it in there. But you need to accept the fact that people may not even interview you if you've got your political leanings listed on your resume. So be prepared for that. And no matter where you're sitting politically, I think that might be a good thing, because it means, like I already mentioned, you're not accidentally going into an organization that doesn't really reflect you. So it's good and bad. It's good and bad. I mean, someone's screaming outside somewhere. Anyway, that's a real personal choice, and you need to make a decision, because it unzips your pants and let everybody see what's really going on down there, right? Like it's a big flag saying, look at me, look at me. So you got to really make that decision on what. Me personally, I don't want to end up in an organization that is very right-leaning, and organizations may advise, recommend, demand, threaten your job if you don't vote a certain way, because that organization is in bed with a political party in some way, or the political party has promised something to change something to make it easier for this organization to do their business. And if you don't believe in that lobbying process, and you don't want to be part of an organization where they say everybody should vote this way so that we can benefit from it as an organization, right? If you're not willing to accept that, you don't want to be in that organization, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. So I'm still debating. Now, it shows, like, it's not my, it doesn't, I didn't list all the times I ran for the party, but I did list that I work for the party. I volunteer for the party. So obviously it means I'm green leaning, very left leaning in nature. And if you watch any of my other videos, it's always like, you got to protect your employees. You got to make your employees happy and things like that. And that's because that's my left leaning. And, you know, if an organization is treating their employees properly in every way, shape, or form, those employees don't feel the need to start a union, right? The best way to union bust is to not ever, from day one, give your employees a reason to start a union. So you got to understand, why would your employees start a union in your organization, right? So this is me trying to give the advice to small business owners. And it's very left-leaning thought, right? Protect your employees, make your employees happy, and your organization will grow properly. So I'm definitely not anti-business. I'm a small business owner. And I want to see an amazing green economy form and things like that, right? So, but this is me waving my green flag saying, yeah, I'm a Green Party member. But to me, if I'm applied a job and it turns out they're very conservative, and they don't give me an interview, I mean, that's fine. That's a red flag. I may not understand why they didn't give me an interview ever and get depressed about it, but unbeknownst to me, I dodged a red flag because I was about to get a job interview into an organization that I wouldn't have fit into, right? So if you want, right? So I am going to put in a point here that says something about my career club program. Right. So I'm going to not bold that. I'm going to turn that into a bullet point and give it a little space. But I don't want that there. Okay. So, running a monthly career club program, helping job hunters. Okay. It's a little bit more. I'm doing more than just being a director at large is a little bit vague. So you might want to put in something that you're doing within that organization. If you're seeing words like president, chief financial officer, chairperson, right, you have this sense of they're in leadership, they're doing meetings, they're doing the finances for the organization, right? So there's certain things there that you automatically think. But if you're in a position where you're not sure if anyone's going to understand what you were doing there, because we have, again, preconceptions about job titles. And that's why we put bullet points in to clarify this job title a little bit, because you could say administrative assistant. I've got a preconception about that work, but maybe you also did the invoicing for the finance department or whatever, right? It's not a normal task for an administrative assistant to be doing, because that's for the finance clerk to be doing that, right? Not you. So you definitely want to add, if there's something that's kind of different that that normally isn't done by your job title, definitely put it in. Right? Nobody knows exactly what community leagues do, but here it's showing I'm running a monthly career club program, and that's helping job hunters, right? So that's in there. So that's in there now. So I did manage to find a few things that I want to put in. I'm still on the ropes about keeping my Green Party stuff in here. But I do a lot of work. Every Saturday morning, I'm doing 5+ hours of volunteer work for the Green Party of Alberta. And I'm also doing 2 to 3 hours on Wednesday mornings. I've blocked off time in my calendar so I can do this volunteer work, right? So there is a lot of work happening, and I don't think I may want to add some points in here on the stuff that we're doing, because this is experience also. So there's certain job titles: chairperson. Okay, I created agendas, I ran meetings. I did volunteer to work at the library, right? Board member, Peace Library Assistant. This is a little bit, it's like the director at large, but I don't really know how to explain it. We were like a corporate board type thing, but I don't even remember if we did other things. President, again, it's creating agendas, helping to run the organization, whatever, right? We kind of know. Director at large, very vague. That's why I added this in here. Running a monthly career club program. There's other things I could put in here for the experience side of things. President here, again, it's just making agendas and running meetings. But there is more. There's lots of committee work. We have a committee meeting almost every Saturday, right? So when we're talking about different things. So there's opportunities to add some bullet points here, even on my resume. So consider that. If you got volunteer experience, then make sure it's in there. If you don't have volunteer experience, go get some. Volunteer with something local. There's all kinds of nonprofits around in your communities that you can be a part of, that you can join on as a board member. Go do that. Add some extra experience to your resume. And yeah, volunteer experience is experience. And especially if you're on like a board, you're learning how to do Robert's Rules of Order, you're learning how to make motions, and you're helping to create policies or update policies within the organizations, constitution and bylaws that you're updating within your organization. There's a lot of different experience that you could be getting and listing that will help you get the next job or advance your career or change your career. We go back to that truck driver who had 30 years of truck driving experience and then just applied for some unrelated job. Well, okay, so the example was he was going into finance. Maybe he joined WFG or Primerica or some other similar organization where he was slowly learning, taking these little courses on how to sell life insurance or whatever, right? Like he started learning. So this sudden change to finance made sense. But he could have added in volunteer experience, right? So he was volunteering on a local nonprofit. Maybe he was helping to run the organization, so he was the president or the vice president or secretary or something within the executive. And maybe he's also the chief financial officer or the treasurer. He's been doing that for the last 5 years. And he's been in WFG. So he's actually got money. He's got money. He's got experience with money and finances. But he was truck driving the whole time. Right? It's that change of career. A volunteer situation can help you change your career. So go out and volunteer. Find a volunteer organization. In Edmonton, it is so easy. Your local community league. Find out when the next meeting is and go to the meeting. Start going to the meetings. I absolutely guarantee that within a meeting or two, they're going to ask you if you want to be on the board. You'll show up to that first meeting and they'll be like, would you like to be on the board? We could appoint you right now, right? Because they're always looking for people. Community leagues are always looking for volunteers. And I would go into that situation with excitement, because you could start running your own program. Like I'm running my own career club program monthly. So that's a new monthly program that's going into the community league. Okay, what if you volunteered to do basic finance course or basic finance club because you were in WFG and blah, blah, blah. You got to try to make sure that you're not plugging yourself too much. I mean, but that's fine. You're giving out free advice and you're using the local community hall to do it free of charge. I mean, you commit to a long-term program. If you are an artist, start an art club at the community league. You get to use the hall for free. If it's a program, the community league might even pay you $50 every time you run the program, right? Like, there's a possibility of making a little bit of money because the community league needs programs. They need a program running every night at their hall to make sure that the community has programs, right? They're not just renting the hall out to weddings and christenings and staff Christmas parties, right? That's not just what the hall is for. That's how the community league makes a bit of money. What the community league really needs is programs, because programs is a community league's primary goal. They're there to make programs for the community. So if you've got something, you're an artist, you want to teach watercolor painting. I always talk about watercolor. You want to talk about watercolor painting, and you have a little free art class for local residents, right? You might change it up, do a different art thing, or you might invite multiple artists doing multiple things. So in one corner you got watercolor painting, another corner you've got oil painting going on, another corner someone brought in a pottery wheel, right? And they're teaching basic pottery or sculpting, and like, oh my god, art night at the hall, right? And it's multiple different art things going on, or a different theme each art night, right? Whatever you do as a profession, find some way to see if you can turn it into a free program that you could put at your community league hall. Get creative. The community league might pay you $50 every time you teach it for a couple hours. It's not big money, but the community league needs programs. So find your skill, find your love of something, I am really, really considering doing like a game night, just because I enjoy board games, and yeah, let's do board game night at the hall. So I bring a stack of my board games, and I'm not just talking stupid Monopoly, right? Get into the more advanced games like Cash Flow, or the really interesting games that they're coming out with now that really need some skill. The new Dune Imperium game, even Carcassonne, or Puerto Rico. Like, you could just bring a whole bunch of games, and if only 4 people show up for game night, I mean, that's a good game. You got 4 people to play the game. If you get 10 people showing up, you could get 2 or 3 different games going, right? Just a game night, man. And you could turn it into something else. You could have drinks for sale. It could be it's an adult game night, so you have bar sales. So you're selling drinks, right, while you're playing board games, or you're bringing in a caterer to give you a little buffet for your board game night. I mean, like, man, there's lots of things you could do. I mean, the sky's the limit. Pick out whatever you do, whatever you want to do. I am really considering asking my mother to come in once a month and have like a beading or craft night at the community league hall. And we could bring in multiple crafters, and they could just have some materials, and everybody who comes to their table could work on a different craft item. Me, I would set up a table with macaroni art. I miss doing macaroni art from elementary school, man. White glue, colored paper, different types of macaroni. Oh yeah, different types of pasta. And just do it an art night with. Oh my god. I'm not very good with art, but anyway. Games? I could do games. I mean, if you want your program to be successful, certainly do door prizes. If they're taking away the art they create, or the craft they make, or whatever thing they do, if they get that as a takeaway, then the community league, you could get them to pay for those supplies for each event, and also pay you a little bit of money to be there to do the event, right? So you may not even need to be on the community league board. You may say, I want to run a program, and this is what it's going to cost me. Can you please fund this program? Hey, community leagues are looking for programs, right? Don't say you want to make $1,000 a month to run this 2-hour program. Like, that's insane. You're gonna get $25, $50, right, for you to run the program, and they're gonna cover $100 worth of materials or something like that, right? Like, that's more, especially if it's an ongoing program and it shows that people are coming. So for your community league, you're gonna want to track participants and the costs and stuff like that, right? You want to make a little spreadsheet and just list that out and give that as a report to the community league, so that they can see it at their next board meeting. But I think I'm done, man. I think I'm done. I don't want any more questions. I'm gonna go. If you need to get a hold of me, scan the QR code in the top corner. This will take you to my link tree, which is down here in the lower corner. linktr.ee/IanTheHRPro. Tomorrow is going to be fun and games. I have not prepared for the live social selling that I had planned to do. I just got a pile of magic cards, and I just haven't organized nothing, and I don't know if it's going to be worth my time to get in there and do a live show. So I might just change the date on the live show for like a couple weeks out, so I have time to organize myself a little better. Although I've gone live twice on the program called Whatnot, I've lost money both times. I mean, like, man, I'm not making money selling nothing because I've made a couple mistakes. One, I'm giving away too much free stuff, and I have to pay for the shipping. The shipping is costing me somewhere in the neighborhood of $14. Every time I give something away for free, I'm paying $14 because I've got to ship it. Now, it kind of combines shipping. If the free gift was given away to someone that purchased something, then it combines the shipping a little bit. But I'm giving away too much stuff, and I really think the only way I'm giving anything away now is if I make a certain amount of sales, right? And I'm saying something like, I gotta make at least $100 in sales before I give anything away for free, because I need to walk away with some money, right? I'm selling off all my old comics and my old magic cards, and I want to be able to make a little bit of money. I'm not looking to become rich, but maybe as I perfect it, this becomes another kind of side biz. In my reality, it's actually just some slightly different content that I'm creating. But maybe one day I want to start buying and selling magic cards and things like that. Who knows? But I think I'm going to delay that Whatnot show. So I'm going to go live like normal tomorrow, I think. And save that selling for another day. I'll probably put it off for at least 2 weeks, so I can try to organize myself. I do have a bunch of items already listing there, but I don't want to sell them unless it's at a show, so that maybe I can get multiple sales and we can share, split the shipping. So anyway, fun and games tomorrow. Not gonna live sell. No, I'm not gonna. Anyway. Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. Love you. Good times.